Oh my goodness, I had the best chole bhature in the world.
No way, I have literally been craving that for the past few days.
But you know what? Even though I'm so full, something is still missing, and I feel incomplete.
I know just the thing you need.
Oh really? What's that?
Some Ashirwad for dessert.
Oh yes, that is perfect. You know, speaking of blessings, do you want to know what happened with me last week?
Absolutely, tell me what happened.
So, it was my birthday last week, and my birthday fell on a Sunday, which was great because then I get to seek Ashirwad from so many enlightened saints in the divine congregation. But what really struck me that day was something quite different. After having langar, I went to put my plate away, and it was then where I encountered a saint who wished me happy birthday. Now you might think, what's so special about that, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's what the saint said. Happy birthday to your body, but you are forever eternal.
Interesting.
I stood there for a moment and tried to absorb the meaning behind it. And it hit me really hard. Am I consciously living these lines? Or do I just say them without realizing what it truly means? And since then, these two lines from the Sampuran Avtar Bani have been going on in my mind. You know what? Let's make this interesting. I will say two lines from the Sampuran Avtar Bani and let's see if you can guess the topic for today's episode.
Yes, let's do it.
Sabar Siddhak da chola hove, tera ik sahara rahe, sadhu reh ke duniya andar, vang kamal de nyara rahe.
I partially understood those lines, but not completely. Could you give me another hint?
Okay, how about two lines from the Sampuran Hardev Bani? जैसे जल में कमल, जहाँ में जो ऐसे रह पाता है, कहे हरदेव वही जन जग में जीवन सफल बनाता है.
Oh, so you mean detached attachment?
Bingo! But with different words. The actual topic is live in the crowd, but above the crowd.
Wow.
Without further delay, let's get discussing. I'm Haritesh.
I'm Harshita. We both welcome you to another blissful episode of Soul Vibes. Namaskar and Sant Nirankari. Haritesh ji, this is a great topic, and this topic is very close to my heart because I've also experienced something similar.
Oh, okay.
A few months ago, I applied to get this position that was extremely important for my career. However, due to some circumstances, I couldn't really secure that position. And because I had been doing Simran constantly throughout the process, my failure didn't really discourage me. When I told my friends about it though, they seemed disappointed for me. I maintained my stability and connection with Nirankar, and Simran provided me the strength to face the situation. And because of Simran, I was at peace. A Mahapurush once told me, Simran is not done to change the result, but to complete the task gracefully and accept the result happily.
Wow, that is so profound.
This made me realize, Haritesh ji, how Satguru's teachings have given me a positive outlook on life.
Thank you, Harshita ji. Listening to different perspectives helps so much. Now moving on, we have a few student youth who will be sharing their insights on the topic. First of all, I'd like to welcome Anupam ji and Sadhika ji.
Sant Nirankari ji, and thank you ji for having us today.
So tell us guys, what does living in the crowd mean to you?
You know what, Anupamji?
Yeah?
When I heard the topic, the first thing that came to my mind is a quote by Aristotle that says, "Man is a social animal and cannot survive in isolation."
That is so true, Sadhika ji. Humans have a biological drive to belong. We seek out social contact not only because of the life functions it can fulfill, but also because it's really rewarding.
Yes, I strongly agree with you. It is necessary for our human growth to be involved in the daily moving society so that we can experience new things and learn from the people around us.
Yeah, and it totally aligns with the fourth pledge of our mission, which says, God can be realized while performing normal duties of domestic life. So this shows how important it is to live in the crowd and how it helps us in our growth as a human being.
That's right. A true Gursik must stay in the crowd, indulge in Maya, and still carry out the message of the Satguru. And you know what?
Yeah?
This also reminds me of a saying that goes like this. A ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. Similarly, we sometimes feel like we're safest in isolation with no judgment whatsoever. But that is not where we are meant to be.
Absolutely. And like Sadhguru Mataji says often in her vichars, that we have to maintain an equilibrium in our lives in terms of devotion and worldly responsibilities.
Oh, that reminds me of an instance from the book Gurdev Hardev Part 1. A Mahapurush asks Babaji, how can a God-realized person live in this world but still not get attached with it?
Oh, I wonder what the answer was.
Babaji explained, material attachment means to get attached with materialism and keep the mind always linked with it.
Wow, I never thought of it in that way.
Person who does not get entangled with the world while living in it is free from worldly attachment. Similarly, a God-realized person knows that he is not the physical body, therefore he does not get entangled with materialism. Rather, he stays detached. He knows that it is for him that the world has been created and not vice versa. Just like a house exists for the use of the owner and not the owner for the house. If the owner identifies himself with the house, he would definitely get disturbed by the wear and tear of the house.
Right.
On the contrary, the same does not disturb the one who is aware that he is only a temporary occupant of the house. If need be, he gets the house repaired. If the house becomes unlivable, he leaves it also. He treats the house as a means to live and does not consider its wear and tear to be his own. And you know what, Anupamji?
Yeah?
The next line sums it all up very beautifully. Babaji said, he has a relationship with the house, but no attachment.
That really hits home.
In the same manner, a God-realized person maintains his relationship with the world, works for the welfare of all, but does not get entangled in its attachment.
Wow, this book is so insightful. I think I'm gonna start reading more, and also recommend the listeners to start reading the literature of the mission. And you know what, Sadhikaji?
Yeah?
This reminds me of an instance. Last year, I went on a vacation with my family, and my dad had booked a rental car for this trip. And without a doubt, I really liked this car. I made sure to keep it in good condition and took full advantage of it. Went to all the places we wanted to, and basically, we used it to the max potential. Though I would have loved to keep this car, I knew that I had to return it. So, I had a relationship with the car, but no attachment. Just like Babaji said. So Sadhikaji, now to wrap it all up, a Gursik lives in this world with the awareness of the truth at all times and is careful enough to not get lost in the materialistic world.
Thank you, Anupamji and Satikaji. These conversations are so thought-provoking. I could listen to you guys all day. And I wish we just kept on going. But as you know, Harshita ji, time is very limited.
That's right, Haritesh. And I was just thinking, how is this episode going to be complete without a rap song from our Calgary youth?
Yes, let's get right to it.
Live in the crowd, but above the crowd. Stay within the limits, but above the clouds. Grounded like gravity, live through hate absently, passively, naturally, live life beautifully. Let me tell you about a story about two twins with an alcoholic father that never wins. One grew up to be the same like his father, but one grew up to be a pure saint with no bother. But the brother stayed grounded, acceptance of flaws, and surrendered his life, accepted God's law, kept to himself and helped others become better. Didn't just go out as a trendsetter. Day-to-day lives were too stuck on materialism. Living authoritatively is a road to imperialism. With our actions, we can show this superior wisdom. Live life in beauty, disregarding all the caste systems. So tell me, reverend, will this greed ever end? It'll end once we really stop ourselves and surrender and accept the gyan. And just to live life accordingly with God as our constant and Sangat our varsity. Brother, every sister, every mother, every father, every child, every other, let us all come together and unite as a collective and just make a goal objective to be garnered, saints affected and live in full acceptance.
Stand up proud, let's say it out loud. Live within, but above the whole crowd. We are one nation, this is God's creation. Strive for love and peace, that is our foundation. What does it mean to live above the crowd? It's to stand out and be the ones that make us proud. It's the blessings that pour like rain from a cloud. What do we do because God has allowed for us to speak the words, but His actions are loud. Louder than we know, louder than we feel. Fold our hands and pray that we heal. Heal from this pain of hatred and doubt, because it's time to rise above the crowd and shout, we are one, we are one, we are one. Shine brighter than the sun. The love is our superpower, and with this we can run away with the thought that hate will never win. Cause we are one fam despite the color of your skin. So let's take a look up to God and bow, because the time for a change is no better than now. Because this voice of mine is quiet in a crowd, but with the voice of the millions there's no nothing more that's loud. We are put on this earth to make God proud, as I am no one by myself, but I am one with the crowd.
दुनिया में रह के भी हमने ऊपर उठते जाना है। प्रेम एकत्व के पैगाम को फैलाना है। सिर्फ अपना सोचा तो उसका क्या है फायदा, सबको साथ लेके हमने चल के दिखाना है। गिर के भी उठना सीखा इरादा, जैसे चट्टान हो करोड़ों में गूंजे बुलंद ये आवाज हो। जो दुनियादारी ऐसे इसमें मिलती चोट, पर मरहम लगाने वाला इंसान बनो। जिंदगी आसान नहीं माना, मुश्किलें है बहुत। एहसास हो जब इसका तो आनंद होता रोज। ये नहीं सोचना क्या सोचते हैं लोग, बस इस सच्चाई की राह को छोड़ना नहीं दोस्त। ये सिर्फ लफ्ज नहीं, इसका पर्पस है बहुत बड़ा विशाल। सोच लेके होना सबने खड़ा, कदम से कदम मिलके हमने बढ़ते जाना। पर याद रखना झुके रहने वाला होता बड़ा।
That was absolutely amazing and so captivating. I've always thought of music as a wonderful way to connect to Nirankar Haritesh ji. Without any further delay, let's move on to our next participants. We would like to welcome Snigdha ji and Ginny ji to take the topic further.
Thank you, G, for having us. You know what, Ginny ji? I am thinking how sometimes it's hard to live in the crowd, let alone live above it. I'm reminded of so many examples that I have witnessed in my life where we're constantly trying to fit in and seek validation, even to an extent where our mental health gets affected. I feel like we're in a rat race of meeting certain precedents and standards to become a part of the crowd. There's this pressure of being accepted, yet there's no rulebook on who or what is accepted.
That is so true, Sudiksha ji. Acceptance is very subjective in today's society.
Correct. And this reminds me of a specific incident. My very close childhood friend and I had always been chubby kids. Well, she was chubby and I were chubbier than chubby. And you know what, Ginny ji? Growing up, we both were bullied. Kids called us names and all the mean things,
And both of us would feel bad. Well, fast forward to high school, we both graduated and we got into some activities and we both lost weight.
That's good.
Yeah, and now this friend of mine started sharing her life on social media a lot.
Oh, yeah, a lot of us do that.
Right? So she would post very frequently and eventually she got addicted. Then a couple of years ago, when the pandemic hit, we know how there was barely any physical activity for all of us to do because of the isolation.
Correct.
So my friend got back to how she used to look before, and without a doubt, me too.
Oh, you mean like jaise the?
You are absolutely right. So one day we were talking and she shared how she had started to notice a change in the engagement of her followers. She said that before, when she was fit, everyone would praise her and would want to talk to her and become her friend. And now it wasn't the same anymore.
Surprising, eh?
Very surprising. But she knew it for a fact that it had to do with the way she looked now. This change was bringing the bad part of her childhood memories alive, of being bullied. She took this so seriously that she almost entered a stage of depression. She asked me how I had been coping with it since I was in the exact same boat as her.
And what did you say?
Well, I told her that I never resorted to social media to gain validation from others. I was just there to connect with my friends and family. I also told her how I felt about these social platforms as just a means of staying in touch with the trends of the society.
Sanigdha ji, I'm thinking how this perfectly matches to an example that I once read in our missions book, Jeevan Shikshak, where Baba Gurbachan Singh ji said that waking up in the morning and having tea or coffee or milk is up to us, but how that drink affects our body is not up to us.
Exactly, Ginny ji. Putting efforts towards our fitness was our choice that we made with the purpose of becoming healthy, but the result was never up to us.
Hanji. And where we go wrong is when we attach ourselves to the result and the happiness it may bring. Whereas a Brahmgyani's approach to such a situation would be accepting Nirankar's will happily.
Hanji, you are right. You know what? I'm reminded of this time when we were in a solid lockdown situation. I was living alone. I would see my friends online, enjoying in their houses, doing activities with their families and pets, and I felt like I was missing out on so much. Satguru Mataji also in one of those days mentioned FOMO.
The fear of missing out.
You said that right. I heard her say that there will always be something going on in the world. Such issues of life can easily unnerve and depress a person. If we don't surrender and take refuge in Almighty Nirankar, then it won't take us much time to drown in these negative feelings. So I viewed this whole situation as a distraction in my attempt of being sthir with this Nirankar. I finally decided to be selective on how I went about using social media. For me, it worked really well, and believe me, I have been able to connect more with Nirankar ever since.
That's very impressive.
Like Baba Hardev Singh ji once mentioned in his discourse, दुनिया में हूँ, दुनिया का तलबगार नहीं हूँ, बाजार से गुजरा हूँ, खरीदार नहीं हूँ. Translating to, I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world.
Vajiva.
I believe the idea behind this quote is that I'm here in this world and I'm supposed to live this life. But what will make this life beautiful is when I stop getting lost in materialism and use it just enough to live a content life. The beauty here is when I practice this, it will bring peace to my mind.
Hanji Sanigdha ji. I also think that the idea of living above the crowd can often be confused with being superior. But the true meaning of this is living a God-realized life and seeing God in all mankind. This is how I will have the ability to live above the crowd but still stay grounded. It is okay for me to be a part of the crowd and live a simple and beautiful life, but it is not okay for me to let the perspective of the crowd affect me. I will only make myself miserable then. Like it is said, it's okay for the boat to be in the water, but it's not okay for the water to be in the boat. In the latter scenario, the boat will sink and drown itself in the water. That's what we want to avoid. And here's where Satguru's teaching of self-realization through God realization also comes to mind. Realizing my identity, realizing the Nirankar in me, and seeing this Nirankar in everyone else will provide me with the vision that Satguru wants me to have.
That's very well put, Ginni ji.
And Baba Hardev Singh ji once said, भले ही हम संसार में बसें, पर मन में संसार नहीं, मन में निरंकार को बसाना है. Instead of being so indulged in winning the rat race, why don't we invest our time in becoming one with Nirankar, who is above all joys and sorrows, above all chaos of the world, and eternally stable?
Hanji.
Now, Sudiksha ji, getting back to living in the crowd. We need to live in the crowd because the crowd helps us gauge where we stand in a worldly and spiritual sense. When I'm in the crowd, I realize how tolerant I am because I see more tolerant people than me. But in the end, my competition is with myself.
Right.
I remember when someone asked Baba Hardev Singh ji, how do I know if I'm going forward on the path of spirituality or if I'm going in the right direction?
So, what did Babaji say to that?
Babaji replied, observe yourself. If the list of things that bothers you is decreasing, then you are on the right path. But if that list keeps on increasing day by day, you are going backwards in spirituality.
Wow, that's a really deep thought, Ginni ji.
Also, as our mission's teachings are, serving mankind, Nar Seva, Narayan Puja, the way we as a part of our mission try to implement Satguru's teachings can only be done by living in the crowd.
Correct. Like the line of our marching geet goes, Manavta hai dharam hamara, hum keval insaan hai.
Very well said, Snigdha ji and Ginni ji. Haritesh ji, we have been having such profound discussions on the topic of live in the crowd, but above the crowd. Like how we first heard from Anupam ji and Sadhika ji on living in the crowd, who emphasized the fourth pledge of our mission, which describes how we as humans are not to leave our families and our worldly duties to go and seek God in the wilderness.
They also reminded us of Sadguru Mataji's teachings about the importance of balancing devotion and worldly obligations in our lives.
Yes, and we also heard from Snigdha ji, who went on to share her perspective on living above the crowd and why it is needed. By using her personal experiences, she described how even the smallest things can become a distraction for us. And the only way to rise above these distractions is to solidify our connection with Nirankar. And once we rise above it, it makes our lives peaceful and blissful.
That's right. And I remember Ginni ji mentioning an amazing way to keep our spirituality in check by tallying how many things in a day bother us.
True. The way I understood this was the more we rise above the crowd while living in it, the less we will be bothered by these worldly matters.
Yes, Harshita ji. I was thinking about the word live and how it carries different meanings depending on how we say it. Live as in life, meaning you are alive. But the word can also be said as live. It means now. It means it's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
There's also live, which in Punjabi means consciousness. As we often say, live judi rahe. So in the end, I pray that may we all be able to live in the present and maintain a conscious connection with Nirankar. Namaskar and Dhan Nirankar ji.